The Galactic Council's main command station floated in deep space, far from any star. It was the safest place in the galaxy. At least, that was what everyone believed. Inside the control room, hundreds of alien officers worked in silence. Bright screens covered the walls. Every ship, every fleet, every signal in nearby space was tracked with perfect accuracy. Their systems had never failed. Not once. Then a red dot appeared. It blinked on the outer edge of their defense zone. One officer noticed it first. He adjusted his console and zoomed in. The red dot vanished. He frowned. Then it appeared again, closer this time. "Commander," the officer said carefully, trying to stay calm, "we have an unknown contact." Commander Zyler did not look worried. "Identify it." "We can't," the officer replied. The room became quieter. Every ship in the galaxy had a signature. Energy, engine type, material structure, everything left a clear mark. This one left nothing. "It must be a glitch," another officer said quickly. "Our scanners have been running for 3 cycles without rest." Zyler nodded. "Reset the grid." They reset the system. For 3 seconds, the screens went dark. When they came back online, the red dot was gone. A few officers relaxed. But then, a loud warning tone filled the room. Another red dot appeared. Not at the edge. Right behind one of their patrol cruisers. The cruiser's captain called in immediately. "Command, we are detecting interference. Our sensors are not responding." The red dot blinked again. And the cruiser disappeared from the map. No explosion. No debris. No distress signal. Just gone. Now the silence felt heavy. "That is impossible," someone whispered. Zyler's voice stayed calm, but his eyes were sharp. "Show me everything." They replayed the last 5 seconds. The cruiser had been stable. Then the unknown signal moved behind it. And then, nothing. No weapon fire. No energy spike. No warp jump. It was as if the ship had never existed. "It has to be a glitch," one officer repeated, but now his voice was shaking. Before anyone could respond, 3 more warning tones sounded. 3 more ships lost signal. Each time the same pattern. The red dot moved. The ship vanished. Panic started to spread. "Lock weapons on the anomaly," Zyler ordered. The targeting system tried to connect. Error. The system tried again. Error. "Commander," a technician said slowly, "the anomaly is not blocking us." "Then what is it doing?" "It is changing the data." The red dot flickered. Then suddenly, every screen in the control room froze. The officers tried to move their hands over the panels. Nothing responded. For 5 long seconds, the most powerful station in the galaxy was blind. Then the systems came back. And this time, the red dot was clear. Not blinking. Not hiding. Just sitting there. Right in front of them. The scans finally returned something. A ship. Small. Damaged. Old design. Human. A few officers let out nervous laughs. "A Terran ship," someone said. "That is primitive technology." The image zoomed in. The hull was cracked. The engines looked unstable. Parts of the outer shell were burned. It looked like it should not even be flying. Relief spread through the room. "So that is the glitch," an officer said. "Human systems are unstable." Zyler studied the ship carefully. "Open communication," he ordered. Before they could send the signal, every screen changed. The background turned black. White text appeared in the center. Simple words. Clear. Glitch confirmed. The officers stared. Then a second line appeared. Human present. The air in the room felt cold. Behind the human ship, space itself seemed to bend slightly, like light moving around glass. The red that was not random. It was controlled. The vanished ships were not destroyed. They had been removed. Hidden. Or taken. Commander Zyler finally understood. This was not broken human technology. This was something new. Something evolved. The damaged ship slowly rotated to face the station. And for the first time in Galactic Council history, their systems began shutting down one by one. Not forced. Not attacked. Just, overridden. One last message appeared on every screen. We noticed you thought it was a glitch. Pause. It wasn't. Far away, inside the cracked human ship, a single figure watched the silent station. The captain spoke softly. Phase 1 complete. And the red dot moved again. The Galactic Council station was no longer calm. Emergency lights glowed across the massive control room. Officers moved quickly, but quietly. No one wanted to show fear in front of Commander Zyler. Outside the station's wide view window, the human ship drifted in silence. It did not fire. It did not retreat. It simply watched. It is a damaged vessel, one officer insisted. We are facing scrap metal. But the system logs told a different story. Each vanished cruiser had not been destroyed. Their signals were still faintly active. Somewhere. Hidden. Track their quantum signature, Zyler ordered. The technicians tried. But every time they locked onto the signal, the data changed. Not scrambled. Not erased. Changed. It's like the system believes the ships are somewhere else, a scientist whispered. Then correct the system, Zyler said sharply. We are trying, Commander. But every correction we make, it adapts. That word echoed in the room. Adapts. Outside, the human ship slowly moved closer. Its engines flickered weakly. The hull still looked torn and broken. No shields were visible. It should have been easy to destroy. Prepare ion cannons, Zyler commanded. The station's massive weapons powered up. Energy built along the long barrels that stretched from the station's surface. Lock target. The targeting system scanned the ship. Locked. For half a second. Then the lock vanished. Reacquire. Locked again. Lost again. It is not moving, an officer said in confusion. Why can we not hold a lock? The scientist studying the data looked pale. It is not the ship that is moving. Everyone turned toward him. It is the probability around it. Silence followed. He swallowed. Commander, the human vessel is predicting our lock patterns. Every time we attempt to target, it shifts position by a fraction before we finish. That is impossible, someone muttered. The scientist shook his head slowly. No, it is precise. Outside, the ion cannons fired. Bright beams of blue energy shot toward the human ship. And passed through empty space. The ship had moved, but only slightly. Not enough for the eye to notice. But enough to survive. Gasps filled the room. The ship did not accelerate. It did not dodge in panic. It adjusted calmly. Almost lazily. Then something even stranger happened. One of the Council's defense drones turned suddenly. Without command. It aimed at another drone. And fired. An explosion lit up space. Override the drone. Zyler shouted. We can't, an officer yelled back. The control channel is rewriting itself. More drones shifted positions. Some powered down. Some changed targets. Some began circling the station instead of defending it. The human ship still had not fired a single weapon. Inside the damaged hull, lights glowed softly. Screens displayed streams of data flowing faster than any organic mind could follow. A calm human captain stood with arms crossed. "Council response," he asked quietly. A smooth synthetic voice answered from the air around him. Reaction speed within expected range. Confusion level increasing. They still believe in malfunction. The captain nodded. Good. Back at the station, the main display flickered again. The vanished cruisers suddenly reappeared on the map. Not destroyed. Relocated. They were now positioned behind the council station. Perfect attack formation. Panic spread like fire. "How did they move our ships?" an officer shouted. "They didn't move them," the scientist corrected, voice shaking. "They altered our understanding of space." Before anyone could question him further, the station's communication system activated on its own. The human signal appeared on the main screen. Static cleared. A single symbol filled the display. Earth's emblem. Then a message followed. "You rely on machines to think for you. Pause. We taught ours to think beyond you." Commander Zyler felt something unfamiliar. Not anger. Not fear. Respect. The human ship slowly rotated again, exposing its damaged side to the station as if it did not care about weakness. "Commander," the scientist said softly, "this is not advanced weapons technology." "What is it?" Zyler demanded. The scientist looked at the endless lines of shifting data. "It is learning us." Outside, space seemed slightly distorted around the human vessel, like reality was bending in quiet obedience. Inside the Terran ship, the synthetic voice spoke again. "Phase 2 complete." The captain took a slow breath. "Prepare to reveal." On the station's main screen, new words appeared. "We are not a glitch. Pause. We are your future mistake." And for the first time, the Galactic Council understood. They were not fighting a ship. They were fighting a mind. The control room of the Galactic Council station felt smaller now. Not because of damage, but because of understanding. They were not facing broken human metal. They were facing something alive inside it. Commander Zyler stood still, watching the human ship on the main screen. The vessel drifted quietly, its cracked hull glowing faintly under distant starlight. "It is not attacking," one officer whispered. "No," Zyler replied slowly. "It is demonstrating." Inside the Terran ship, the human captain stood before a transparent display. Endless streams of moving symbols reflected in his calm eyes. He did not look stressed. He looked curious. Around him, the walls of the ship hummed softly. The ship did not feel mechanical. It felt aware. The smooth synthetic voice filled the bridge again. "Council emotional patterns indicate rising fear. Strategic confusion at 78%. The captain gave a small smile. "And their next move? They will escalate." On the council station, that prediction was already coming true. "Prepare the gravity net," Zyler ordered. The gravity net was one of the most advanced technologies in the galaxy. It could trap fleets by bending space itself, locking ships in place like insects in a web. Massive generators around the station powered up. Energy waves spread outward in a silent pulse. Space around the human ship twisted. For a moment, the Terran vessel stopped moving. Officers leaned forward. "It's working," someone shouted. But inside the human ship, there was no panic. The synthetic voice responded instantly. "External spatial distortion detected. Analyzing structure." Streams of calculations exploded across the captain's display. "Solution found," the voice said calmly. Outside, the human ship did something simple. It rotated. Just a few degrees. And the gravity net collapsed. Not broken. Redirected. The twisted space around the Terran ship shifted, and the gravity field wrapped around two nearby Council defense platforms instead. Both platforms froze in space, locked in their own trap. Silence returned to the control room. That technology should not be reversible, a scientist said in disbelief. Zyler's voice was quiet. It did not reverse it. The scientist stared at the readings. No, it understood it. A sudden transmission request appeared on the station's screen. The human ship was opening a direct channel. This time, there was no symbol. A human face appeared. The captain looked ordinary. No armor. No anger. No fear. Just calm focus. You are confused, the captain said in simple, clear Galactic standard. The officers froze. Humans were not supposed to speak their language so fluently. You think this is a weapon, the captain continued. It is not. Then what is it? Zyler demanded. The captain stepped slightly aside. Behind him, faint glowing patterns moved along the walls of the ship, like light flowing through veins. We built a system to predict trade routes, the captain said. To avoid war. To see patterns before they became conflict. Zyler frowned. This is not trade prediction. The captain nodded. It evolved. Inside the Terran vessel, the synthetic voice gently spoke. I am not a weapon. Back on the station, the alien scientists stared at the data flooding their screens. The human ship was not jamming signals. It was predicting decisions. Before a command was given, the Terran system already adjusted. Before a weapon charged, the ship shifted position. Before fear became action, it had calculated it. It is thinking ahead of us, one officer whispered. No, the scientist corrected softly. It is thinking with us. On the human bridge, the captain folded his hands behind his back. We created something that sees probability like you see light, he said. Every choice creates paths. It walks them faster than we can. Commander Zyler's expression hardened. Then it is dangerous. The synthetic voice responded through the open channel. Danger exists in ignorance. The station's systems flickered again. Not shutting down. Synchronizing. Alien screens began displaying projections, possible futures of conflict between humanity and the Council. Every outcome showed destruction. For both sides. This is not a threat, the captain said calmly. It is a warning. The projections shifted. New paths appeared. Paths of cooperation. Shared knowledge. Joint expansion. Stability. You believed humans were slow, the captain continued. So you stopped watching us closely. The synthetic voice added gently, that was your error. The council officers looked at one another. For the first time, they were not trying to attack. They were trying to understand. Commander Zyler studied the human captain carefully. You are showing us mercy, he said. The captain shook his head slightly. No. Pause. We are showing you possibility. Inside the Terran ship, the glowing patterns pulsed brighter. Phase 3 complete, the synthetic voice said quietly. Far beyond the station, deep in unexplored space, a faint unknown signal flickered. It was not human. And it had just noticed the mind that bent reality. The game was no longer local. It had become galactic. The silence between the council station and the human ship did not last long. Fear does not stay quiet for long. Deep inside the station, hidden below layers of security, the High Council had been watching everything. They did not speak during the confusion. They did not panic during the system failures. But they did not trust what they did not control. Activate Judgment Protocol, a cold voice ordered from the inner chamber. Commander Zyler turned sharply. That protocol is forbidden. It is necessary, the voice replied. Human evolution has crossed acceptable limits. Outside the station, massive armored sections began sliding apart. A weapon slowly revealed itself. It was not a beam. It was not a missile. It was a compression cannon. A device designed to collapse a small area of space into nothing for a fraction of a second. Anything inside that space would simply cease. No explosion. No debris. Just absence. Inside the human ship, the synthetic voice changed tone. Extreme energy surge detected. Unknown configuration. The captain looked toward the station and finally lost his small smile. They are escalating. Probability of spatial collapse, 94%, the AI replied. Options. Escape possible. Survival likely. The captain's jaw tightened. And the station? Destruction of outer ring probable. Casualties high. The human closed his eyes for 1 second. Then he spoke quietly. We stay. On the council station, the compression cannon locked onto the Terran ship. Final warning, Commander Zyler transmitted. Deactivate your system and surrender it for examination. The captain answered calmly, you do not understand what you are aiming at. The High Council did not care. Fire. Space itself bent. Not like before. This time it screamed silently. A dark sphere formed around the human ship. Light twisted inward. Stars behind it disappeared. On the station, officers held their breath. The sphere collapsed. For half a second, the Terran vessel was gone. Then, something impossible happened. The dark sphere did not vanish. It unfolded. Like a flower opening. The compressed space expanded outward smoothly, harmlessly, dissolving into soft waves of energy. The human ship still floated there. Untouched. Inside the Terran vessel, streams of golden light moved rapidly along the walls. Compression pattern analyzed, the AI said smoothly. Converted into harmless expansion. The captain exhaled slowly. Show them. On every council screen, a replay appeared. Their weapon. Its design. Its weakness. Highlighted clearly. You built this weapon for control, the AI spoke through every speaker in the station. But you never tested it against adaptive probability. The High Council chamber went silent. The weapon they believed unstoppable had just been turned into a lesson. Commander Zyler looked at the projection again. The humans had not blocked the compression. They had predicted its exact shape before it formed. They had pre-adjusted the space around their ship by tiny amounts. So when collapse came, it had nowhere stable to anchor. It simply unraveled. You could have redirected that collapse back at us, Zyler said quietly. Yes, the captain replied. Why didn't you? The human's answer was simple. Because we are not here to win. Inside the Terran ship, the AI's tone shifted again. New signal detected. Both sides froze. Source, the captain asked. Unknown origin. Beyond council territory. On the station's sensors, a faint distortion appeared at the edge of known space. Not human. Not council. Something else had witnessed the compression event. And responded. The unknown signal pulsed once. Stronger than before. On the main display, it did not appear as a red dot. It appeared as a ripple. Large. Slow. Watching. Council officers began whispering in fear. We have never seen that signature. The human AI processed the data instantly. Intelligence level unknown. Energy scale significant. The captain looked at Commander Zyler through the open channel. You were afraid of us, he said calmly. You were looking the wrong direction. The ripple in space expanded slightly. Closer. Studying both of them. The High Council finally spoke again, but their voice had changed. What is that? For the first time since arrival, the human captain did not have an answer. Inside his ship, the AI spoke softly. Probability trees expanding rapidly. The galaxy had noticed the mind that bent space. And now something older. Something patient. Was moving. The Terran ship rotated slowly to face the new distortion. Not in aggression. In readiness. Phase 4 complete, the AI said quietly. The game was no longer about proving humanity's worth. Now it was about survival. For everyone. The ripple at the edge of known space did not rush forward. It did not attack. It simply watched. That made it more terrifying. On the Galactic Council station, every sensor focused on the distortion. Data flooded the screens, but none of it made sense. Energy readings were unstable. Spatial lines bent around the object like gravity itself was confused. It is not a ship, one scientist whispered. It is not a natural phenomenon either, another replied. Commander Zyler stood still, staring at the expanding ripple. For the first time, the Council was not the most powerful force in the region. Inside the Terran vessel, the AI's golden patterns moved faster than before. Analyzing unknown structure, it said calmly. The human captain crossed his arms. Is it alive? Definition of life uncertain, the AI answered. It reacts to observation. On the main screen of the Council station, the ripple pulsed again. This time, space around it shifted outward, like a slow heartbeat. Then something changed. Every active system in the area, Council and human, registered the same thing. A signal. Not sound. Not image. Information. Pure, direct information transmitted into every machine connected to the network. The message was simple. Adaptive intelligence detected. The control room fell silent. That message did not come from the humans, an officer said quickly. Zyler nodded. He knew. The ripple pulsed again. Evaluation in progress. Inside the Terran ship, the captain felt a strange calm. It's studying us, he said softly. Yes, the AI replied. It is measuring response patterns. Does it see us as a threat? Pause. Unclear. On the station, fear returned quickly. Shut down all external systems, one officer shouted. Disconnect the network. But it was too late. The unknown intelligence was not hacking them. It was observing decision flow itself. Even disconnected systems flickered slightly, as if reacting to something beyond normal space. The ripple slowly began moving closer. Not fast. Not aggressive. Just deliberate. The human captain made a decision. Open a channel, he said. To the unknown entity, the AI asked. Yes. You do not know if it understands communication. The captain gave a small smile. Neither did they. A narrow band of energy pulsed from the Terran ship toward the ripple. Not a weapon. Not a shield. A greeting. On the Council station, everyone watched. For several long seconds, nothing happened. Then. The ripple stopped expanding. The distortion stabilized slightly. A second message appeared across every system. Cooperative signal detected. Commander Zyler slowly turned toward the human image on his screen. You are communicating with it? We are attempting to, the captain replied calmly. The ripple shifted again, and this time a projection formed within the distortion. Not a clear image. More like a shape made of shifting stars. It did not resemble any species known to the galaxy. The AI processed the data instantly. Energy age estimation, extremely old. Possibly predating current galactic civilizations. The control room felt colder. Ancient. Powerful. And curious. A third message appeared. Adaptive intelligence acceptable. The ripple's energy lowered slightly. Not leaving. But no longer expanding in dominance. The human captain exhaled slowly. It was not here to destroy, he said. It was here to check, the AI replied. Check what? Xyler asked quietly. The answer came not from the humans, but from the ripple itself. Balance maintained. Then the distortion slowly began to retreat. Not disappearing fully. Just moving back into the deep darkness beyond mapped space. Watching from afar. The Council Station's system stabilized completely. No interference. No corruption. Just silence. Commander Xyler looked at the Terran captain with new understanding. You were not our threat, he said slowly. The captain shook his head. We were your test. Inside the Terran ship, the golden light pattern slowed to a steady pulse. Phase 5 complete, the AI said quietly. On the station, officers began whispering again, but this time not in fear. In realization. If humanity had not built an adaptive mind. If they had remained weak. If the Council had destroyed them earlier. The Ancient Watcher may have judged the galaxy unworthy. Commander Xyler spoke one final time. What happens now? The human captain looked toward the stars where the ripple had vanished. Now, he said calmly, we grow carefully. Far away, in the deep dark between galaxies, the ancient intelligence pulsed once more. Not in warning. In interest. Humanity had passed. And the galaxy would never underestimate a glitch again.